All right, Gator fans, thank you guys for tuning in and watching this. I know this video is a little bit late. It is the holidays. I have 5 children. It has been wild. Transmission blew in my car. It's been a really fun last few days here in the Wilbur household, but better late than never. I want to talk about the Gasparilla Bowl that happened in Tampa on Friday. The Gators kind of muddled through a 33-8 victory against the Tulane Green Wave. There were some positives and some negatives, and we are going to get into that right now in this video presented to you by BetUS. First, I'm going to start with the positives. When you make a bowl game, any bowl game, you get 15 extra practices. And this is huge for a young team like Florida. Now, the downside of a December 20th game and with conference championships happening so late and such is that you don't get to take full advantage of all 15 practices that are technically allotted to you, right? There's not enough days between the announcement and the game, and then you have to factor in exams, which all of these players were kind of in the midst of when this bowl game was announced. So Florida absolutely didn't get the full 15 practices by any means, but some is better than nothing, right? For a team that is as young as Florida is, that is trying to make the strides that they're trying to make, extra practice is extra practice, and it is absolutely a positive. So let's talk about the game itself. A bowl victory got the Gators to 8-5. That is a sign of progress, right? Coach Napier's first 2 years at UF, they were not bowl eligible. In July, I actually picked the Gators to go 8-5. And now, listen, before you say like, Allie, you thought they were terrible this whole season. Right. This did not play out in the way that I pictured it at all. And in late December, I was trying to find 2 to 3 wins on our schedule. So I'm definitely not going to pat myself on the back too hard for that at all. But the point in July of 8-5 was that would have been progress, right? And through all the roller coaster that this season was, we're here. We hit 8-5. And I think that allows you the ability to sell some hope to fans and recruits for next year. This team is a couple plays away from being 10-3, right? Which would really be progress. DJ Lagway doesn't go down in that Georgia game. I think they win it. I think play call or 2 different in the Tennessee game. They win it. You could have those 2 games back pretty dang easily, right? So 8-5 on the cusp of even being more than that, right? You can use that for next year. You can sell that. Let's talk a little bit about DJ Lagway. I think he was a positive. I understand that, kind of the reviews of his play in this game were that it was a little bit of a roller coaster, and it was. But here's the positives. He's got another start under his belt. He was 22 of 35 for 305 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. He is a true freshman, right? Who has only been the starter for really the second half of the year. Anytime you get one more opportunity to get some experience under your belt, it is a massive positive. And I think we saw some superhuman plays from him, like we do every single time he touched the field. Did we also see some freshman mistakes? Yeah. He hasn't hit his ceiling as a true freshman. That's okay. His development is going to continue. This is just going to leave him even more hungry for next season. It was by all means not a poor performance. It just wasn't necessarily the perfect quarterback performance that you kind of expect out of DJ Lagway. He is young. He is going to continue to improve. Everybody on our schedule next year is concerned that he's our starting quarterback. The Gators are set right now at quarterback position, at starting quarterback. Obviously, we could add some more talent in that room to back him up, and we probably will bring in somebody in the transfer portal. But I think everybody should be really pleased with where we sit right now with Lagway in terms of his development. I thought he had a great game. I thought he had a solid game. I'll get right back to the video, but first, I appreciate BetUS for all their support. Just quickly, make sure that you are betting with them and you're using their code YouTube150. That'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit. You'll also get 125% on your next 2 deposits. All of that up to $2,000. It's bowl season. It's in full swing. It's playoff time. Make sure that you are betting with BetUS this postseason. Couple of freshman mistakes that he will continue to improve upon, right? Let's talk for a minute about maybe the biggest positive of the game, Florida's running back room. Florida's running backs are dogs. Montrell Johnson didn't play. He was not on the injury report. So I don't know if they just, something that not worth risking as he gets ready to prep for the draft or what. I'm not really sure. But listen, Jaden Baugh and Jacoby Jackson took care of business. Both of them were awesome. They averaged both almost 4 yards per carry. Really impressive. We also got to see Katie Daniels a little bit. And hey, he is electric. He took that one play where there was a fumble and made something out of nothing. He had about 30 yards on, I think, 5 carries. He's the future as well. Exciting to see him. Florida's defense was great. They held Tulane scoreless until the very end of the fourth quarter. There was 1 minute left in the game. Cleanup time at that point, right? The Gators were missing Cam Jackson, Caleb Banks, along with others. So the fact that the defense was able to put together such a dominant performance, missing some key defensive players really at all 3 tiers of the defense, I think that's really impressive. Let's talk about Des Watson. How cool was it to see him in at running back? I loved that. And I loved, that's what bowl games are supposed to be about, right? Making sure that guys that have continually put in the work get to kind of experience this whole bowl game atmosphere, give the fans something to cheer about. And that's exactly what happened with Des Watson. It was one of those feel-good moments in the game for me when he carried the ball. And who's going to stop that, right? Man, we maybe should have done that all season long. There's no one that is going to be able to stand in the way of Des Watson. I thought it was a really cool when Rubio got to score on his time in the game. I thought that was a neat moment where the team followed behind him, running, celebrating, they danced together. I will never not get teary-eyed when a walk-on scores or just gets in the game and gets to make an impact, because I know the kind of work that goes in behind the scenes for them, and very little glory, if ever, And so for him to have that moment, I thought that was really kind of special as well. And just kind of shows that Napier gets it, right? He understands what these meaningless bowl games are for. And that was a cool moment for the team. That was a cool moment for the fans. It was neat to see how congealed this team is, how excited they were to celebrate one of their own who doesn't get to see the field as often as others. And shoot, he had a little pep in his step when he ran with the ball too. Really, really very kind of cool moment at the end of the game. Now we're going to talk about the negatives because we got to talk about the whole game, right? Special teams, y'all. I know that you were thinking about me when you watched this happen and know that my head was exploding. We took 2 timeouts for 10 men on the field for special teams. How we are in late December and this is still happening, I have no idea. Maybe they don't allow the mats at bowl games. Not really sure. It didn't make the travel squad. But I just don't understand how we seem to have that problem more than pretty much anybody else in the country. And our special teams unit as a whole is much improved this year. So I don't want to take anything away from that, but we've got to figure out a way to have the right number of men on the field every single dang time. Also took, some exception with some of the play calling, especially on third down, but it's not anything different than we've seen kind of the whole season. And I really do think it underscores why I think Florida can take that next step with an offensive coordinator next year. We'll see whether or not that happens. But, all in all, it was exactly what a bowl game should do for a team like Florida, a 7-5 team going into it. It allowed us to get extra practice time. It allowed us to get young guys reps. It allowed us to highlight some of these role-playing guys that really just give it their all every single day in practice and don't necessarily get the glory on the field. Allowed us to showcase them to the fans. It was a great opportunity for any recruits in Tampa to be in the stands to get to see what this is about. I don't know if you noticed, but Dallas Wilson was in the stands. He kind of dapped up DJ on the way out. He also was at Florida's basketball game yesterday as well. So Dallas Wilson, 5-star wide receiver who longtime commit to Oregon. Word on the street on signing day was that he was going to flip to Florida, but he didn't. He stayed with Oregon. He's since asked out of his letter of financial obligation from Oregon. They have granted that. If all goes as planned, he will be a Gator and enrolled in January. So we'll see how that continues to play out. But that is the plan as of now. It was great to see him there, watching his future team. And when you watch DJ Lagway, how could you not want to play with him as a 5-star wide receiver, right? So, this was a huge positive for Florida on a lot of fronts. I think it underscores the progress that has been made. It was able to show team continuity that clearly exists. It's cool when guys don't opt out of meaningless bowl games, right? When they play for the right reasons. We saw all of that. It's just kind of a feel-good moment, I think, for Florida athletics. And now we're going to see what they continue to do with that. Transfer portal is open. Florida is looking for a few key pieces. That will clearly be the focus of the next week or so. And we'll see what they come up with. All right, guys, lots and lots and lots to talk about the playoffs, right? So tonight I'll be doing a live show over on my SEC channel, A Peek Inside the SEC at 9:00, breaking down the first 4 games. It was a wild ride. So please make sure that you are subscribed to that channel and tuned in, and I'll have more Gator content coming for you next week. As always, thanks for watching, and go Gators.